Okay, this is the video for ear number one. And the first thing I'm going to start with is I'm just going to sketch the side of the head. So just using very light pencil marks, just a slight sloping line. Next step, I'm going to draw the top of the ear. So this is going to be partially the helix, the ridge of the ear that sticks out, and then the leg of the helix, which is the part that blends into the side of the head. So I'm going to start with this tall curving line, and this is going to slowly make its way out. And then it will curve in just a little bit. It'll curve back out slightly, and then it will make its way to the bottom. And this is where you would have the earlobe. So there are two types of earlobes, the ones that are attached, like what we're seeing in the photo, and then the earlobes that dangle. And so those are the ones that are unattached. Next step, I'm going to draw the inner portion of the leg of the helix, and then it will slowly move into the helix. So it gets a little bit wider at the top. And then I'm going to bring this line down and just follow the curve of the outside part of the ear. So this is just going to curve around. I'm just going to stop it about there. Now I'm going to draw the antihelix. So this is the inside portion of the ear. So we have this line that has a slight curve to it, and it's just going to go past this point. And then I'll stop right there. Next step, I'm going to add the tragus. So what we are seeing on the photo is the very top of the tragus starts about in this area where those two lines meet. And then it's just a very small and a curved line, and then it curves back down. So the tragus is that hard piece of cartilage that sticks out from the side of the head. Next step, I am going to draw a line that comes out from the tragus. And then I'm just going to have this so it kind of curves up like that. So for the actual lines of the ear, that's all I'm going to start with. Everything else is really going to be tonal shading. So I've got my 6B pencil, and I'm going to use it where I have the darkest values. So right underneath the helix, I'm going to put some of these dark values, and we want to make sure that these are curving. So what happens is that these lines in this area of the ear are kind of curving over. And then I'm going to blend these with my tortillon here in a minute. And then we have darker values right at the base of the leg of the helix. So in this area, and these are going to curve also. So these are going to curve like this. That way it makes this area of the ear look like it's curving and indented. And I'm going to put a little bit of value underneath the helix and the leg of the helix, just a little bit. And then I'm going to put some darker values at the bottom of the earlobe. And just a little bit right here, a little bit right here. And a little bit on the side. So for the rest of the ear, I'm simply going to use my tortillion so I can blend some of these values. And as I'm using my tortillion, I want to make sure I'm following the direction of the object that I'm working with. So for example, in this area where I put down these pencil marks, I have these curving. So when I use my tortillion, I just want to make sure that they're curving the same way. And same for this area. So this kind of leads into the ear canal. Curve these marks. Remember, if you need to break up these lines and have them kind of blend better, if you go in really small circular motions, that usually helps. And then I'm just going to blend these in. So I'm curving these marks just a little bit. Then I'm going to blend this area. And right on the edge of the antihelix, I'm going to just go along that so it softens that part just a little bit. And then I'll do the same on the edge of the shadow where we have the helix. So what happens is this area just gently curves. So it really kind of curves like a cylinder because of this round cartilage type tube that makes up the outer edge of the ear. So this kind of part of the helix is going to be a little bit darker than this top portion. So this top portion will curve also. So it does have that cylindrical type appearance. And I'm going to go back. I'm going to get my 6B pencil and I'm going to add a little bit of a shadow up here. And so that's created by the side of the head. So it has this slightly darker shadow, maybe a little bit difficult to see in the photo because of the hair, but it is there. We're going to blend this. And I'm going to come back down here. I'm going to blend that just a little bit better. And then we have some values right here. And along this area, it's just a little lighter, so I'm not going to put as much pressure. And I'm going to blend the shadow. So just working in this curved direction. And then right here, I'm going to actually start to curve these up with my tortillion. And then closer to the side of the head, it's just going to be a little bit darker than the space next to it. So I'm going to curve these also. So as you're working, think about the shape of your own ear and how the curves of the ear are made or the direction they go. And then the tragus is going to have a little bit of value. Now, the tragus on this drawing right now is still looking kind of outlined. So I can take my eraser and just lightly go over that line that I used to sketch the tragus. And it lightens that up just a little bit. And if you get it too bright, you can just lightly take your tortillion and go over it. And blend in these marks a little better. So the secret to making your ear look realistic, it's to have a variety of values in this drawing. So you want to have those really dark values like what we see right here. You want to have those mid-tone values that we see in this area. And you want to have those like brighter highlights. So we see that on the tragus. We see that a little bit right here. I can even like make that just a little brighter. Take a little bit away from there. Then I can go over it with my tortillon if I took too much away. And remember, whenever you use your darker pencils like the 4B or the 6B, and then you use your tortillon on top of it, tortillon has a tendency to lighten it up just a little bit. So you may just have to take your pencil. So I'm using my 6B again and pushing the darkness of this spot as well as right under the ear. And then right on the edge, I'm going to darken that just a little bit. And I'm going to darken this portion just slightly. Now I may go over it really lightly with my tortillon. So for the ear to look successful, not only do you need all of these different values, but you should have um, a lot of like very kind of soft blended areas. Really, the only part that isn't going to be soft, where you may have kind of a harder line, it's really going to be right here, where we have that helix that leads into the antihelix. So that part's pretty defined, but the rest of the ear is pretty soft. Right here on the antitragus, I'm going to take a little bit of pencil away. I kind of made that highlight a little too thin. And then I can use my tortillon and just make that gradient a little smoother. So to get this highlight back, I'm just very, very lightly going over it with my eraser, not putting any pressure down at all. Now with this drawing, just like the other drawings, you can go ahead and add the values around the ear. So we did the same for our noses and the mouth and the eyes. So I'm going to add some tonal shading to the side of the head. And then to finish it, I'm simply going to use my B pencil or my 2B pencil, and I can add the hair texture. Again, it's really just to give the drawing context, it puts it in a place. Probably got this part just a little too dark. So I'm going to lighten it up and then use my tortillon to blend it back in. Okay, so I've got my B pencil, and for the hair, all the hair is, it's just really short, quick hatch lines. So if you start where the head is, and then make those hatch lines going this way, you'll get a nice sharp hair-like point. So these continue down past the ear, and then these hatch lines just get shorter and shorter as the hair moves more into like a sideburn type appearance or the beginnings of a beard. So now these lines are going to get a lot shorter. Some of these shorter lines are going to cover part of the tragus just a little bit. So right in this area, the the hatch lines are going to be really, really close together because it's starting to make up more of the hair. Then they spread out as it gets closer to the edge of the ear. And last thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to go over this a little bit more and curve these lines so hopefully the shadow blends into the helix a little bit better. All right, so that is ear number 1.